Are we gonna hear the beat in there?
Hey, it's back.
Barber College Success. Brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cutz Academy, JC, Crown Cutz Academy, Bristol, and Craig Crown Cutz, downtown Johnson City. Spreading love the Tri-City way is one way, but spreading love the Crown Cutz way is the only way. Here at Barber College Success, we give you the tips, the tunes, the rhythms of how to navigate barber school, what to look for, what not to do, what to do, how to help you be successful at what you want to do in this industry, getting a jump start to a great career, making life a little bit easier for you. Today, we got a banging episode, but first off, let me introduce my co-host and our special guest.
Jordan Barr _52 on Instagram.
Me? Everybody's looking at me. NaTanya Rochelle Conley, owner, NRC Design Solutions Business Consultant Agency. Follow me at NRC Design Solutions on IG.
Man, boom. We haven't sit at podcast and just talk about what you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ammi Fields, Ammi your barber, back again. Blessed to be back, always.
Yes, and thanks to, again, the Feed Spot for ranking us top 25 podcasts in barber content. That is special.
Absolutely.
If you listening to us out there, share it, tell someone, like it, check us out on YouTube, check us out on Spotify, check us out on Apple, any major podcast platform. If you have any suggestions, hit us up. And keep giving us these bombing reviews. We love these reviews that comes in. It just keeps us motivated and just keeps us wanting to push our craft. We're going to add some new things coming for the new year for you guys to help you guys navigate your time through school. We'll talk about it in the next episode. But, hey, today we're going to talk about the importance of being an instructor. Why should students consider being an instructor? Why? I think that's, for me, I'll start off with this. Once I started teaching, I became a better barber.
It's the same for me. I mean, and being able to watch the process again, not only does it keep you humble, but it just gives you so much more energy.
Yes.
Because you're not always going to be the hot new barber. Like, you're not always, I mean, right now you might be, but later on in your career, you might not, but people are always looking for the next big thing, the next, what I'm saying? So, and sometimes you have to invest into the future to invest in yourself. And for me, it's helped me 100%. And the opportunity Craig got me to be an instructor at the school has been a blessing for me, 100%.
Yes, I mean that's important. It's a game changer. And again, I think most people need to check the state regulations to see what it takes, because some states you could be an instructor instantly after you graduate. Some states like Tennessee, I know you have to be 3 years in with your official master barber or cosmetology license to get your instructor license, but in Tennessee, you can start off with your junior instructor license right away, but get your master instructor license after 3 years. So again, check your state regulations to see where you fall in line with that.
I follow a guy, his name's Naval Ravikant. He's like, people heard me mention his book, but he's like an investor. And he posted one thing today, was teaching is more of a way for the teacher to learn than for the student to learn. And I thought that was deep. And I really, truly believe that 100%, is that I've learned so much from the students by assisting them grow than I have just sitting back and taking things in. It kind of puts it all in perspective, because in your mind it makes sense, but when somebody tells you to explain it, that's when it gets a little more difficult. So when you can actually explain what you do to people, it makes it more valuable. It puts more of a valuable price on it. Just like knowing the book. Craig says you need to know the whole cover of the book, chapter to chapter.
And the importance is, a lot of students don't understand how great that they would be at teaching, because a lot of times when my way doesn't get through to a student, I will use a way that I've heard a student explain it to another student to get through to them. And I think that's so wonderful. Like you say, we all learn from each other, because it's like once you teach and you're learning, and once you learn, and you're preparing yourself to teach.
Right.
the information. So I think that's important.
Right. I feel like teaching and training are kind of synonymous because I know I train employees at my job. And like you're saying, when you're training, teaching, you do learn a lot more because you're reading your materials, because you're wanting to make sure that you're giving your students or your peers or whatever the correct information. So I know I've learned a lot from doing training.
But it also kind of gives you a bar to see how much you have picked up, how much you have learned. If you really want to give yourself a barometer.
So would you recommend somebody that's just coming out of school to go straight into being an instructor? Because I feel like I mean that's what when you asked me, and I felt personally like I should go out and be in a shop and experience a couple of years of like my trials and errors, so I can come back and teach people the wrong ways and the right ways of doing certain things. That's what I feel though. It's just me.
And, right, but you're right. I agree with you. But there's some exceptional cases where some students, the practical part, as far as like the job field, working in the shop, working in the salon, it might not be for them. Because if you look at it, like a lot of great coaches, they didn't even play the game. And a lot of great players, they can't coach. But I think it's a combination of just experience and so many different things to put you in that realm of being an instructor. But my point of view is, for me, when I became an instructor, I became a better barber because I started studying it more because I had to teach it. Because most students, they don't study their book. They don't study the craft of barbering. They just do the application part. And after a while, muscle memory takes over. It takes over with the theory. And all you're doing is just remembering. So you're not studying to learn, you're studying just to remember at that moment when you're taking the test. But after a while, that goes away because you didn't study to learn it.
Well, sometimes people are just gifted at explaining things. Like teaching it can be a gift that some people just happen to have. As far as the practical application goes of the process of cutting hair, there have been students that have gotten a ton of reps in school and have been, Jordan, for example, have been great at cutting hair off the rip, and he's gifted in that sense. And some people are just gifted at explaining things to people. And like Miss Dale, she just has a way of taking things and making it into a practical way to retain it.
Yes.
And some students come out of school with that skill.
Yes.
They pick that up a lot quicker. And if you're one of those people, maybe teaching is for you. Not that cutting hair in a shop isn't something you should do or should not do, but sometimes that if you're blessed with that skill, you should use it.
So how do you find that out as a student while you're in school?
I think the students I think it's obvious the ones that retain the book better than most, being able to retain it. And then not only retain it, and this is another thing you learn through, like Craig said, picking up from students. Like there's been times where I'm reading material and sometimes in my mind it's dry, hey, memorizing material. And then the student will be like, well, this is how I remembered it. I use I use this. I got this little rap. I got this little rhyme, or I do this like antonym or like series of letters that help me remember. And then you hear that and you're like, wow, that's great. That's so smart. People that are capable of doing that are the ones that I would say are gifted teachers. Being able to and you notice those students. If you teach, the students that are great already at one thing or good at one thing. And then most of the time that's what it is with students. Like you got students that are great, already good at cutting hair. And you have students that are really good at the book part. And, you really got to see towards the end of it how they progress. Getting both of it is the goal, no matter which way you decide to go.
Right.
But sometimes they lean on either side.
And teaching and training also, like you said, helps you because I never considered myself a trainer because I have a hard time explaining things. I just do. But it helped me to determine that, okay, I may have to explain something a little different, and it helped me to work with people and know that somebody may not be getting something, so maybe I need to say, hey, do you understand this? If not, let's try it a different way. So it helped me to interact better with people, even in that setting.
Well, from my perspective, I just kind of want to give students more options as possible because you go into school and you have that one-track mind and you're thinking that I'm just going to get out there and just cut hair. And as you're in school, your insecurities come up and you're seeing that you might not be picking it up as others. And that's okay, because it's a process. But also think about the next perspective now. Maybe I could be an instructor. Maybe cutting hair might not be for me. I'll better be able to explain. You just want to give yourself options.
Yeah.
That's the perspective I'm trying to give people. Because if you go out there now and you're in school and then you got 1,300 hours and you got 200 hours to go and you still feel nervous about going in the shop, talk to your instructors and see maybe if you can teach a class. And I encourage students to start teaching classes for them to understand the knowledge of the application once they get in. Because you're in front of your peers, and most of the times the classroom's about no larger than 10 to 12 of your peers. And if it's larger, it's okay because it's everybody that you know and everybody that you're comfortable with. So even if it's teaching the first chapter, when the book comes back around, Introduction to Barbering, that can be a start.
And it, like you said, gives people options. I mean, if you sit behind a chair all day, you're no question there's going to be a time where you feel a little burnout.
Right.
And sometimes some people can fall back and take a break and go teach for a little bit and take a little break and then come back and hit it hard again. Or maybe you're later in your career and you've cut hair for a while and, you know, you don't really want to stand behind the chair for 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And you have that option. You can go teach, and that'll be a little more comfortable for the lifestyle that you want to live as well.
Well, what it also opens up too, it also opens up when you're teaching individual classes by yourself that you can charge people for. If you want to teach a how-to fade class, and you say, okay, I got my barber's license, and I got a large following on Instagram, or even if you don't have a large following, but you know you are really good at one particular skill, and you want to have a class maybe on a Saturday and charge everybody $100, and when you come, you get a certificate and a T-shirt, whatever, and the skill that you're given, it's preparing you for that.
Well, and that also makes you marketable to brands.
Yes.
I mean, all the hair shows that I've been to, all the people that are on stage are great at explaining what they do. They, you know, a lot of the bigger mainstream barbers that are signed by clipper companies and by product brands, they get on stage and they can explain to you what they're doing and why they're doing it. And that, if you learn how to be an instructor and learn how to teach, that makes you more marketable to those people as a barber. You're not just a barber. You can explain what and why you're doing, why this product does this, and what kind of result you're looking to get from it.
And here recently, I don't know who you know who is Barber Joshua P is. I've actually went on his page and he has individual classes. Like he has his own website where he has individual classes explaining how to do like crops or like fades or like certain scissor cuts, like, you know, creative scissor cuts. And I've looked into it and it's cost, they're not that bad. It's like $40 for every video.
Right.
So, I mean, it's individually. So you can pick which one you want. It's not like just one big old package, you have to buy it. But he does have that too. It's online classes and all that stuff. And they go through and he have a video of him explaining how to do a fade and how he fades, how he does scissor cuts. And it's like $40 for every cut. And I'm actually about to buy one probably here soon, and it's just crazy because that's something I really want to try to get into eventually is more being a platform, educational type barber. Like I want to be able to travel the world and teach people how to cut hair, and like I feel like now that I'm to the point, I've only been cutting hair for a year, but I feel like I could explain myself very well.
But think about it this way, Jordan. Think about if you started that journey thinking about that process while you were in school. Does it make sense now to start thinking about it while you were in school?
Yes, but it's just because I was scared. That's the only reason why.
But
I mean, other people might be different. But,
but my point is, if you're scared when you're in school, don't you think it's more scary to try it when you're out of school? Because in school, you're there with your peers and people who are not going to judge you as much, opposed to when it's time to make money now and you're trying to teach a skill, you haven't had no practice for it. Because everything takes practice.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I never helped people educationally after school while I was there.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
I wasn't like in front of everybody. Like I would do it individually. I'll go up to them like, if you need any help with anything, you can ask me, like type stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
But think about if you took it to the next level and said, Miss Dale, I want to teach. how it would have prepared you a whole lot better for where you are right now. Because the practice in school, most people just think that when you're in school, you're just practicing with your wrists just to be a great fader. And that's where that terminology comes from. You're just a hair cutter. Be more than a hair cutter. Learn how to talk to you. Learn how to project your voice. Learn how to be intentional with every step that you take. Soak up every minute, every hour of your time in school and make it be productive and not just work on your strengths, which is just being a good fader.
Right, but I feel like Jordan is saying that you had to kind of go through the process, right, to figure out what it was that you were wanting to do. Like you said, you obviously had a love for cutting hair.
Yeah.
But now, like you said, it's opened up to where you're like, I really want to teach people how to do a certain cut or whatever the case may be. And brought it. So he had to go through his process.
No, I'm not condemning.
Oh, no. It's
what I'm saying is that because a lot of time, like instructors, we talk about it with students every day. We try to push them and push them in certain directions. But a lot of times it's hard for them to receive it because it's a little bit of anxiety or just a little bit of laziness.
Or they're not ready yet, yet.
They're not ready yet. But the thing is if you have to think about why instructors are pushing you, why and where they want you to go.
Because they see something in you.
They see something in you. And they have been there before. And also they know that the mistakes that they made in the past, they trying to let you avoid making those mistakes because this industry is so wide open.
And I think that's another thing that taught me a lot. I think, and that's preparing me for owning a shop that we kind of take, is that when you're an instructor, you're dealing with not only the different ways people learn, but also different personalities of people. There's a lot of different types of people that come through barber school, and not everybody is the same. One thing that I do feel like we have in common is that most people in barber school, I feel like, are introverts. I don't know if that's something that y'all might feel like on the other side, but for me personally, I've taken the test multiple times, and I'm an introvert. And I think Craig has described himself as an introvert before as well. But people tend to have different personalities. And when you're in a shop and you have people that are employees or maybe they're renting a booth from you, they're going to have different personalities as well. So navigating through those personalities, trying to learn how to encourage those different types of people is going to prepare you for when you have a shop and have different people working for you.
Yes, because that was the point I was trying to make in doing teaching and training. Like you're saying, you're getting used to being around different people, how they learn, their attitudes, how they perceive things and things like that. So that just helps you, the customer service piece as well. So when you do own your own barbershop, then you're used to, can pick up on different personalities and things like that. And it does make you a more well-rounded person when you can work with different types of people.
And it's not, like I said, it's not for everybody.
And it's not.
But what I'm trying to say, what this podcast is about is just think about it. Give yourself an option while you are in school. Maybe this could be something that I never thought of. Because what it does, it helps break the ice too. Because once you, like you alluded to earlier, Ammi, once you're working in the shop, it gets so monotonous at times. And it beats you up. You feel like you in an assembly line when you're just cutting. And your clients come in, you cut and you go home. Switch it up. Do something different to break that up. Speak to other people in the industry. Do something else in this industry, because what that will do also, it will open up other doors for you in this industry that you didn't see. Because when I was cutting hair, I cut hair in the shop from 2004 to 2013, 14, before I went into the school. I wish I could have went on a podcast and spoke about on a podcast about my experience. I wish I could have traveled I'd met people with how I tried with the Confess Project to see what it is this barber industry has. I wish when I was in the shop, I could have went to Gillette back then. I mean, I've done all that since I've been an instructor, or going to Andy's in Milwaukee. All those things are afforded to you when you put yourself out there. But if you just keep yourself just secular, where you're not exposing yourself to different things and giving yourself more options, you're going to be in that box.
And it's making that, and Ammi did make a point about making yourself more marketable. And the more you learn, the more you do,
the more you earn.
The more you earn.
And the more, because every barber I know for sure, they love when they get about 100 likes on a picture that they take. Every barber.
Feels good.
It feels good. But what does those likes do for you? Besides make you boost your ego.
That's all it does.
That's really does. That's all it does.
You know what I mean? But you do something else. You might not get as much likes, but you're meeting people. You're traveling the world. You're doing something that you love. You're opening up a new can of worms to make yourself more marketable for more things to come in this industry for you.
For me, another thing was, I'd already made the investment of becoming a barber. I did the apprenticeship route, and I made that investment, and it felt good to accomplish that. And once I had accomplished becoming a barber and being a barber, the shine kind of wore off a little bit. You didn't have as much drive after that. Like, okay, I'm in the shop. Okay, now what? And then when Craig brought me the opportunity to be an instructor, it gave me something else to reach for. And really having something in your life that you're actively working for to try to gain, that is a very rewarding thing. It is, and it makes life worth it. Getting my instructor's license, I was just as happy to accomplish getting my instructor's license as I was getting my barber's license. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't something easy. And I was given the opportunity. Craig gave me the opportunity. But I had to, not only to myself, but to my students, prove that I was serious about it. Because I could have just went in there and be like, oh, yeah, let's just do cuts. I only do cuts. That's all I do. But my attitude was I want to try to be the very best instructor I can be right now at this moment. And that gave me some fulfillment in my life, and if you're cutting hair right now and you're feeling a little bit burnout, give it a try, give yourself another thing to do.
It adds another layer to you.
Mm-hmm.
And the more layers you have to yourself, the more marketable you are.
Yeah.
The more opportunities that you have coming towards you. Because from just being around all these barbers in the past 5 years, all of them wants to be platform artists. All of them wants to open their own shop. All of them they all want to travel and do these wonderful things. But if you just working on your strength, which is just being a great fader, how can you stand out?
And that's if you get on Instagram nowadays, what do you see? You see
everybody does the same thing.
Everybody's doing the same thing.
It's hard. I be thinking about that a lot because I be trying to think of stuff to set myself apart. But it's also being able to be around. I feel like you have to be around certain people and things in order to branch out and do stuff.
I think students in school they don't ask instructors enough questions about those things. How can I set myself apart?
Because the perspective is always the same. How can I give the best haircut?
Yeah.
And they don't know to think about things outside the box like that. They don't, because their focus is like, I need to be the best haircutter here. And initially that's what my intentions were.
That's what my intentions were too.
Yeah, and then, maybe you feel like, I don't want to say, I never feel like I'm as good as I'm ever going to be.
Right.
But being around people that are continuing to elevate themselves makes you want to continue to elevate. And that's something that you have to kind of look at. Like, are you around the right circle that makes you want to grow and become better than what you are? Like Craig gave me the opportunity. And at the time, I 100% was invested, and I said yes. I didn't see where it would take me, but now that I've done it, it's been such a blessing in my life. So it's just like you said, why not? Why not? And especially if you're able to do it right out of school, when you're already invested at that time, that's the best time to probably do it if you can.
Yeah, but I also encourage students at time while I'm in the school. I'm like, and I talk to all the students at time, not all of them, but just particular students who come to school on time, who has a drive. I'm like, hey, you ever thought about being an instructor? Think about that. Why don't you teach a class? Why don't you just do it, each one teach one? Why don't you just talk about something that you're comfortable with, that you like? Talk about one of your hobbies. Start out with just talking about one of your hobbies that you like in the classroom, and explain your hobby to your peers in the classroom, and let them understand why it brings you joy. And that's the beginning. Start with something comfortable, and then you might take a chapter or take half a chapter, or talk to the instructor and say, hey, this is my favorite chapter. Can I do the first part? And the beginning of that will help you process what's going on around you and see if that initiate something to help you move forward.
And that's how you earn the crown. That's something else you said. There's some of these students, when they got that opportunity, if they were half-stepping, if you're not coming in on time, if you're not in good standing with your grades, if you're not growing in your craft, then you're not going to get those opportunities. You have to do these things to lead to other opportunities. If you're half stepping, they're not going to come up to you and ask you to help other people.
Well, that's one of the main reasons I started Each One Teach One every Friday. It's for students to just come and just teach something that they're familiar with. Just teach something that they're familiar with, just to kind of get them projecting their voice, just to get them working on their voice in front of their peers. Because you never know when an opportunity is going to come, but if you don't ignite it and start sometime, it's never too late. But the more practice that you have, the easier it gets. And school is for practice. When you're in school, it's for practice. Use that time wisely to practice, whatever it may be. And maybe sometimes a student might have to write down all the things that they hope to get out of barber school. Everything that they hope to get out of barber school. And make sure it's like more than 5 things. And then ask your instructor, ask students around you in the school, how can you better those 5 things? How can you enhance those 5 things?
And that's a good way to maybe find people with the gift of teaching, because when you first come into barber school, it's overwhelming information. But most people are coming from a profession or have a hobby that they really like. And being able to do the Each One Teach One, they get to focus on what they do know about.
Right.
And then teach people from what they do know. And that helps decide whether or not they have those gifts or not.
And then we just do it every Friday. And then we also have the students who have graduated to come back and just do a demonstration and just talk about the haircut. Talk about the process of what you're doing. And then answer some questions from the students about your journey. Because everybody has the same questions when they're in school. Am I going to get good? Am I going to be able to do this haircut? You are. But it's just that insecurity of something, a new challenge that you have that's giving you anxiety because you haven't conquered it in a week.
Well, that's one thing that we had talked about last week, Craig, when you were in Abingdon talking to the high school students, when we were recognizing their strengths and weaknesses, right?
Yes.
Sometimes you got to do a self-reflection to say,
Yes.
what is it that I'm good at? What is it that I'm not so good at?
Mm-hmm.
So that way you can kind of, start overcoming that anxiety.
Yes.
When someone asks you, hey, come talk in front of a class or whatever the case may be. So that would be on the next episode, right? We talk about
We'll talk
that
about
self-identity.
Yes. That'll be in the next episode. We'll talk about the SWOT analysis and why that is so great for each student, what it does for them. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's big. That's big. What do you think, Jordan?
I think if you find out what your flaws are while you're cutting, you kind of get like a restart on everything. Like say it's like you're good at fading. You're like, all right, I'm good at fading now. Let's work on scissor cuts. Then you can work mainly on scissor cuts. You don't have to worry about, because you already know you got the fade down. So it's like, it's refreshing to me because I love challenging myself anyways. Mm-hmm. So I always try to, like here recently, like this past couple of months, I've been really diving in and watching a lot of scissor cuts because I feel like there's certain haircuts that I really want to do that I can't do. I don't feel like comfortable doing because I don't understand. There's certain things you have to do.
You probably can do it, but you can't put a name on why. You don't know why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I can't explain it to myself. I want to be able to explain it to myself and to other people if they ever ask. And that's for future references.
And just piggybacking on what you said, right? That's why when I speak and I said there should be no downtime in barber school. There should be no downtime because until you're conquering all the skills to be a master barber, a hairstylist, there shouldn't be no downtime. And we still have a lot of students, even up to today, right now, that frown upon doing practicals.
But that's part of it, right? That's what you
practicals is the skill that helps you perfect a technique. But we have students who frown upon it. They're like, practicals again. How are you going to get better if you don't practice it?
And just like Jordan was saying, he has the mentality that he knows that I want to perfect this and I'm going at it 100%. Because sometimes you just have to jump right on in and do those things that like practicals, I really don't want to, but you got to jump right on in and get it done.
And that's what the podcast is for, to let students know these things are essential in your growth. These things are essential in your growth. The school doesn't just put it together and just trying to occupy your time. These things are essential in your growth to be the hairstylist and master barber that you want to be. I mean, just like we go to the CTE programs in most of the high schools, most kids can get their cosmetology license in high school, but they play around with it, and by the time they graduate, they figure, okay, I want to be a cosmetologist or a barber, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to pay for this certificate that I could have gotten for free. So now when you come to barber school, cosmetology school now, a lot of students, they waste their time and not bossing out all the skills and not being the best they can be. And by the time they get out, it's like, man, I wish I could do this. I want to do this better. And 1,500 hours seems like a long time, but it's not. But it really is, because you have all that time when you're sitting there not doing nothing to better yourself.
Tell them about the investment that you made to get your instructor's license, what it took for you, because it took more than just a monetary investment for you. It took a lot of time and out your life to do. I mean,
it was. I mean, but again, I understood my why, and it's something that I love to do, and I had to go to Nashville, which was 4 hours away, to go to school to get my instructor license, and I'm like, I looked at it as like, okay, this is going to be an investment. I don't know what the end of the road is going to bring. I know I was going to have 2 schools, now 3 schools coming up. I didn't know what the investment was going to bring, but I was going to do my best and not waste my time going to school. Be intentional and not waste a step. Be intentional in what I'm doing, because I know once I'm intentional, the sky's the limits after that.
Yeah.
And with you doing that, like you said, you're 2 schools and 1 that's coming up. You've made it possible for your students, such as Ammi, to be an instructor. You opened that up for so many others to do that as well.
I kept my options wide open. I went into it not zeroing myself in one spot, just opening up my options, and then to be a part of the Confess Project of America, to be sponsored by Gillette, be sponsored by Andes. If I was just focusing on just through that one little door and not keeping my eyes wide open, I like to say I'm like the point guard. I see the whole floor. I analyze things as a point guard. I see the whole floor. If I was just looking at it just being a selfish point guard and not dishing the ball off and throwing alleys and assisting and setting people up, I won't be successful.
You're definitely John Stockton in that regard.
Yeah, you got Isaiah Thomas.
Got 25 assists.
But how does it feel, Craig, for you to see Ammi and Jordan and students that have been products of your schools and see them be successful like they are? How does that make you feel?
I'm just happy for people's success. Anytime someone is successful, I'm happy for their success. It's nothing to do with me. It's a testament to their hard work as well. I mean, I know I started the process, but I can't take people's credit. That's not for me, because people still had to be intentional and still had to walk that walk, because everybody can talk it, but everybody can't walk it.
I think that's the most beautiful thing about barbering is, like, when I meet people, I don't really care about what your haircut looks like. Tell me your story.
Yeah.
Where did you come from? Like, the best thing about this podcast is just having people messages from all over the place and tell us what they left to do what they do.
All over the world. Like our top 5 listened countries is the U.S.,
Canada,
UK,
Iceland,
and Australia. Who would think that? The top 5 listened countries.
And I have to believe that somebody in Iceland, other than the geographical location of it, their story is going to be unique to them. And that's the one thing you can't take. Eventually, like Craig says, a fade is going to be a fade. But your story, what you've overcome to be where you're at, to do what you do, is so much more valuable than what kind of the best haircut you can do.
Everybody has a story to tell.
Everybody has a story to tell, and everybody's story is different.
Because to be a platform artist like most people want to do and be, you have to have a story behind that.
Yeah, and that is important.
That's very important.
Because I remember, go ahead, Jordan.
Because he could have went. That's okay.
I want you to go.
When all the other platform artists I've seen when I went to the Barber Expos, they've always talk about how their life experience, how they went through to become to be where they're at, like, and I mean, at the end of the day, they're gonna teach you like how to do their haircut, but most of the time, people are there just to hear what they did to get there, like, you know, because at the end of the day, everybody has the same fade, yeah. But the fade's gonna look dope at the end. You're gonna be like, how the heck you can get it like that, but it's just like
What
them telling you
motivated
that,
you?
like them telling you that is just gonna be like, yeah, I can do this, like I can do this myself, like, cause I probably been through the same, if not less worse than what they went through. So it kind of makes you feel more like, you know,
close to them.
Yeah, which is a lot more
attached.
important.
And that stands out to me more than just like the hair. I can't tell you the haircut that any of the artists that I've seen do, but I can tell you that Vic Blands was supposed to go to college, and he had to explain to his parents why he was going to go to barber school, and that was a big deal. And then Patty Cutz, who actually went to rehab in Florida and defeated that, and became a barber, and building himself up where he was at. Like those stories, Craig Charles being, a football player, pro football player, and going from pro football player to pro barber,
Which is crazy.
pro entrepreneur.
Just
Yeah, and it's like those stories to me are so much more valuable. And if you're listening to this, reach out with us with your stories. Maybe God willing, we can put you on a podcast to share your story. Because at the end of the day, that's what makes you unique, not your haircuts.
Man, we got some fire on our feet today, boy.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Well,
and that does help you, like you say, to be personable, because then you realize, hey, this person went through this, and I did too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So you realize you're not alone in your journey.
So that's the importance of being an instructor. Starting that process of being able to talk in front of people. Mm-hmm. Just starting that process while you are in school. Mm-hmm. You don't have to get your instructor license right away, but you could dabble in it and just see where you fit in. Get some practice. You're not going to be good the first time, but it's okay because you're in front of your peers. Some of them might laugh at you, but it's okay. You got a chance to try again and get better. And by time maybe you leave school, you could be a platform artist ready to travel the world because you've worked on your voice. You've worked on your presentation. And you have your story down packed of what you're going to do, what you're going to say.
That's like Taylor, like the investment she's made of editing and putting her voice in the audio and stuff like that. Like that is only going to propel her in her career, and that she's working on that right now in school. So how much more is she going to benefit when she gets done?
I mean, and I get nervous at times when I'm speaking. Like in the past 12 days, I did 4 speaking engagements at high schools, 4. And total maybe about 700 kids. And the first one I did, I was a little nervous. I didn't think I did well. But after that, the next 3, I just blew them out the water.
I learned that you were the realist at that. And when we did the thing at ETSU.
He didn't write it.
We showed up to ETSU. All we had was a chair. We didn't have no notes. And they played a little bit of soft music. And it was almost like Craig was rapping. Like he was singing because he was walking around and he was just catching the rhythm of the music and was just ad-libbing and just speaking. And that is a gift, and unless you had gone to barber school, became a barber, became an instructor, and then had employee, you were able to teach people. But you do a lot of that now. And I'm assuming that you enjoy it quite a bit.
I enjoy one of the key things. I mean, it's funny you bring that up now because I can almost come up with a lesson plan without just studying a lesson plan. Mm-hmm. I can go to school tomorrow and show up and have a lesson plan in my head, written out, and make the whole day go right.
You're the Barber MacGyver.
I mean, they say Jay-Z and Biggie, they didn't write nothing when they came to the studio.
Wayne.
Lil Wayne, they just went straight to the head. You know what I mean? Some people have that. I'm not saying I'm like them guys, but it's just, I have to say this. When something's your passion and you love it, it kind of rolls off your tongue. Mm-hmm. And barbering is my passion, and I love doing what I do. I don't have a bad day when I go to work. So I can just put my experiences in my mind and just let it flow and let it be real to people.
And the more you're willing to try different things and grow, especially when you find an industry you want to focus on, and then grow as much as you can within that industry, you're going to find something in the industry, or maybe even create something brand new to add to it that you're going to be happy to grow with. You're going to plant that seed to grow with. And Just like you went from everything from teaching, shop owning, engaging with people, you know, there's something else. What's next? You know, you never know what's next.
I mean, there's possibility. There's so much that's open. There's so many doors that's opening up because of the career path that I chose. There's so many doors, and I'm just thankful, real thankful to God, and just appreciative of who I am, my friends, my wife. I mean, it's a testament to a lot of people around me too as well, because I've learned and grown so much from the people who are around me and the people who I've met. You know, and I've grown so much because I take information and bits from people wherever I go. Their information becomes mine because I soak it up like a sponge. I listen. I absorb their knowledge.
But it would only happen without like genuineness, and that's one thing that I feel like everybody in this room has, and especially you, Craig, is like you're going to give your 100% to whatever you're doing at that time. And if you're a genuine person, then that's when the opportunities come out because they know what to expect from you.
Like I watched Eric teach, right, when we was in Milwaukee. And this
Shout him out.
Yeah, he cheeks. Good dude, man. This dude, I watched him teach, and I'm like, this dude is amazing. Mm-hmm. He's an amazing teacher. And I'm like sitting there just like taking notes of everything he's saying on stage, and I'm taking pictures for him and video, and I'm like, man, I'm stealing some of the stuff that you're saying because it just makes so much. I mean, when you love your industry and love what you do, it's not hard to give someone else praises and say they're doing a good job and say, I'll use what you use because I think that's great.
Yeah, and one thing that resonated with me from him was like, I've been doing this for like 10, 15 years. And he's like, I did this before. You could pick up your phone and look at Instagram and see and it's popping up on your phone. You know, he's been investing in that, and now he's finally reaping from it. And you can see the growth that he's had and experience that he's built up to now, and it's evident. It's you can tell the difference for sure.
And the key thing is, what people have to understand, it just takes some time. But on this journey, enjoy every day. On this journey, enjoy every minute, every second,
every podcast,
and do it well, and do it well, and don't expect to get something right away out of it. Mm-hmm. If you're doing it just for that, you're doing something, you're looking around the corner to see what's coming out around the corner, nothing's gonna come.
You're gonna jump off the boat before you get to the island.
Yeah,
and I do thank Craig too for giving me the opportunity to work with you on the business side of what the entrepreneurship that you're coming through, because like I said, as you grow, I'm there with you to help you grow. And like you said, I don't know where this guy's going, but I promise you I will be there with them, helping him get to where he's wanting to go.
I mean, but
with his business.
The thing is, most people try to get there by themselves. You get there by yourself, that's cool and fine. But you get there with a group of people,
it's even better.
It's even better. It's sweeter. It's enjoyable.
And that's the awesome thing about like relationships that we have, like, you know, like professional relationships. When you have true friends that are professionals, like you're not worried about what they're doing. We're all on a journey. We're all traveling on a journey, and we're all focused on our journeys, but we have people to fellowship with on their journeys and share their experiences with us. And we can all get to where we want to go.
Of course.
It doesn't matter. I mean, he might be on that road, I might be on this road, but we're going to get to where we want to go, you know, and you don't have to, you don't have to watch somebody else's journey and worry about what they're doing. You can just support them and worry about what you got going on to get to where your destination, and just cheer everybody on. And if that happens, we can all win. Yes. And that's one of the problems with the industry. Sometimes egos get in the way, and people want to maybe not discourage, but they are discouraged by where somebody else is at. If you're discouraged by where somebody else is at, you need to just look where you're at. Right. And look at where you're walking.
But definitely, we got to work together.
We have to. We have to,
because we could get so much more accomplished if we worked together.
That's big. That's big. This was a great podcast. What you guys think?
Yes, it was.
Every podcast is a great podcast.
It is. Every one is great, but it just seemed like
I miss seeing you guys. I miss my buddy Jordan over here. He's still working on that haircut, right? Still working on it. You're gonna get one.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one.
Yes.
Well, I'm just going with the flow.
Yeah.
Well, I told her before you got here that one of the largest, when we got the numbers for the podcast, one of the largest episodes that we had for growth, it was a timeline. It didn't say the episode, but the episode that we grew a lot at substantially, noticeably, was the two that you did, the one that y'all did together.
Really?
Yeah, because it gave us a timeline, like a week-long timeline. And I went and looked at that week, and it was a week where y'all did y'all's podcast.
That's wild.
So you're doing awesome.
That's big.
Yeah.
My buddy.
Shout out again to shout out Spotify, because that is just a dope feature
Yes.
that they have
Yes.
that you can see that in the podcast. And that just gives us a lot more energy. It's like your feedback.
Big shout out to Spotify. I didn't even think they was following us like that, but I guess we're doing what we're doing.
Awesome.
We're doing it good.
Awesome.
And when you do something good and it's not work, people notice.
Yeah, let's get features, Spotify.
Yeah.
Put us on.
Yeah. Somebody get Jay-Z on here still.
No, he got title. I don't think he'd be rocking with that.
Shout out to Jay-Z. It's gonna happen.
No,
It's
I
gonna
mean,
happen.
hey, Jay's in the fashion. He got the dreads. I mean, that's part of barbering. That's part of the culture.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's part of the culture. So I mean, what's your guys' last words? What are your last words you want to say to people about being an instructor?
I'll say don't. How are you gonna know if you don't try? That's my thing. Just try it.
Right.
Try it.
What do you think, Jordan?
Don't be scared. I mean, obviously I was scared when Craig asked me, but I mean, if you think that you can do it, you can do it. I mean, it's all in your head. I mean, you just gotta, you never know until you try. But I feel like if you feel like you need a little bit more time, that's okay too. Just take your time with it, and then eventually work your way towards that, and you'll be fine. You do great. So
Why not? Why not? You know, add another thing to your resume. Grow as a barber, grow as a person, and give the knowledge back that you've gained yourself to the next generation.
You learn, earn, and then you return.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and it's again, and I'm not putting pressure on you saying you have to be an instructor. I'm just saying just open up some options for yourself, because being an instructor will put you in position in places that you would never thought that you could be as a master barber or hairstylist or esthetician or manicurist, because all these services, people are looking for people to teach them. And even if you don't teach it at a school, you can set something up for yourself and do your own individual classes and still make bread. Because that's the objective, is to be compensated for your work. God's willing.
Inshallah.
That's it.
It was written.
That's it. Again, Barber College Success, brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cutz Academy, JC, Crown Cutz Academy, Bristol, Craig's Crown Cutz, downtown JC, spreading love the Tri-City way. But now it's the Appalachian Highlands way now.
He's expanded to Southwest Virginia.
The Appalachian Highlands. No, but spread love the real way, the Crown Cutz way. Did y'all know that the region is going to be changed from the Tri-Cities to the Appalachian Highlands?
No, I did not.
Yeah, that's going to be the new name now.
Highlands.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be called from now on.
I like the Tri-Cities better.
I mean, I guess some smart person said that keeps up with modern times, and just, I guess it's some type of marketing, because if you look at it, there's a Tri-City in most cities. The Triad, the Tri-Plaid, the Tri-Cities, like there's a Tri-Cities in most cities. So to separate yourself, you have to come up with something unique. There's a Triad in Greensboro, Charlotte, and what's the other one? It's called the Tri-Cities as well. And most states have something like that. So we're just trying to separate ourselves and give ourselves a unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know what you're thinking, Joy. That sounds country.
Nah, that's not what I'm thinking. Nah, I mean, it's cool.
You gonna wear Appalachian Highlands sweatshirt?
I'll wear it.
That's what I'm talking about. Represent.
I'd wear it.
That's what I'm talking about.
If Gucci made it.
Yes, sir. But again, appreciate the love. Hit us up. We enroll students every month, the first week of the month on Tuesday. Hit us up. You want to get a new career? You thinking about just changing jobs? You're looking to introduce one of your kids to something new. If it's not here in the state of Tennessee and East Tennessee, hit them up. Send them to a school in wherever city or state you're in, because this is one of the most prosperous and wonderful career that you will ever jump into. The people that you will meet, the friends that you will make, the connections that you will get, it's priceless. This industry has been nothing but love, where I haven't had a day where I didn't want to go to work in the past 25 years. I just love what I do. And again, shout out for us being in the top 25 of barber content. Share it, like it. Check us out. We got some new stuff coming for you. We're going to have some merch coming. Mr. Ammi, we're getting the merch coming up soon, so we'll make it work for you. Again, take care. Peace.